Welcome to Sighted to Sightless, Side-Eye Edition, where your hosts Richard and T will be conducting interviews with other blind or visually impaired individuals discussing their journeys as a person in the sighted world. Welcome to Side-Eye, the side series of Sighted to Sightless, where we interview somewhat interesting blind or visually impaired individuals to give you their perspective on life. Or, T, would you agree their point of view?
Yeah, yeah, I would very much say that. And if you're listening and you take offense to the word view because you're visually impaired or blind, I would say you need to get a better hobby.
You know what I would say? Build a bridge and get over it.
Yeah.
Go get you some popsicle sticks, some glue, glue them together, build your little bridge and get over it. But this is a podcast that takes a candid look at different perspectives from different blind or visually impaired individuals to show you all that we're just like you all, except we can't see. We can do anything. And while we could drive taxis, I can't say that I would drive with somebody who was a blind taxi driver, but that's just me.
No, I don't feel I would either. On my other show, like we had a series that was like, can we make jobs accessible? And we usually could, but then it was like the whole, oh yeah, but to be an accessible surgeon, yeah, blind person can do it. But it's like if I saw my surgeon was blind, I'm like, nah, I don't need a new liver, man. It's fine.
I'm going to get a second opinion.
Yeah, just not you, just not you, just anyone else. I'll take the janitor at this point.
Yeah, I'll take that alcoholic janitor over there, who's snorting crack and all this other stuff before I take you. Uh, but welcome T. Welcome T. How we doing?
All good, all good. Glad to be here, man. And like you've got a really interesting guest. Like we're gonna be chatting to Mitch today, which I'm really looking forward to. I've never met Mitch, so I'd like to really hear his story and like let's get into it, man.
Yeah. Ba-dum, ba-dum. That's our entrance music. Ba-dum, ba-dum. Mitch, how we doing today, bud?
I'm doing good. Just brewing a fresh pot of coffee. Can't wait to get moving on my day.
The podcast is already derailed because I think he's brewing a pot of coffee because he just heard me say, I wish I had made me another cup. Uh, Episode's over. I'm glad y'all got introduced to Mitch. Uh, but Mitch and I have known each other for about 4 years. 3.5, 4, something like that. The older we get, the less we really care about how long we've known each other and how we feel towards each other. And I know Mitch has a crush on me, but I've tried to turn him away from this.
Okay.
But yeah, we've been friends for quite a while now. So Mitch, tell us a little bit about yourself, your story, how you lost your sight or how you're losing your sight, whatever your situation is.
So I was born with retinopathy of prematurity, which just really means I was born early. So I was born in 25 weeks. I was 1 pound 5 ounces, and what mainly caused the vision loss was being put in the incubator because it pumps more oxygen to you to help you breathe and live. And with all that oxygen, it formed more blood vessels, which pulled on both of my retinas. Um, yeah, the doctor was able to save one, although albeit it's very scarred. Um,
Yeah.
he saved one, and then gave me a prosthetic for the other. So I have like the prosthetic top shell, basically, not the full eyeball.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, that's kind of cool. I mean, like, because I had a buddy that had like a fake eye and he would always pop it out at us.
No, I'm not like that.
Uh,
If anything, I do it just to prove to people I'm blind, because people at times can't. I mean, not that I'm fully blind, but I'm. All I have is enough vision for navigation. Like I can't
yeah.
read, so that's out the window. Uh,
I
but
used to have a goofy friend with a prosthetic eye, and he used to try and pick up chicks by he'd take his eye out and float it in his pint and then drink it. I was just like, dude, that is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. It's like, if you think you're getting a girl with that attitude, he's still single now and he's like 40.
oh
No
no,
eye in your head, man. Come on.
I'm not like that.
Oh well, there's advice for you, Mitch. If you ever think that might get you some success, no, it absolutely doesn't work, and I've seen it many times.
And it hasn't worked many times.
Oh no, it makes people feel quite ill. I'm just like, dude, one day you'll find someone who's into that, and then I will never speak to either of you or your partner ever, because like anyone who's into that, I don't want in my life.
I got you. So, so Mitch, you've been pretty much like blind your entire life. I mean,
Yeah.
have and speaking of that, and T and I just recorded his first episode. What what do you prefer, like when it comes to terminology? Do you prefer blind or do you prefer visually impaired?
I prefer visually impaired because I mean I do have enough vision to kind of navigate at least a little bit my surroundings.
Right.
I mean, if it's not too dark or too bright, because I'm finding even too bright, is an issue. So for me, I just if it's the perfect lighting and stuff, I'd have okay vision, but I like visually impaired better.
Gosh, and T, that's what we discussed. It's the individual, and I'm sure we both found that, if someone has like no sight, they just prefer the term blind because it's quick, fast, and to the point.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and like labels are they're so like individualized. Like whatever you're comfortable using, like that works for you. That works for you, you know. And like by the sound of it, Mitch, you have a very similar sort of scenario to me. Too bright sucks. Like it's sunny here in the UK today,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it sucks. It absolutely sucks. And then at night, I can't see anything. Again, like it has to be that sweet spot. And trying to explain that to people is horrible.
Oh, I know. The way I describe it is, so if it's a cloudy day outside, yet it's like it's bright enough, like those bright kind of cloudy days after rain,
Yeah,
it's perfect. I'm like I could see as good as I could see. Right? Like
yeah,
that's what I know my vision's at its best.
So,
yeah.
with that said, Mitch, and I know it snows where you live a pretty good bit. Do you like it when it snows, or does that affect your vision more?
It all depends. Snow and sun do not mix. The
Oh
snow
yeah,
and sun
that makes water. Yeah, I mean,
no, like it's so bright to where because the sun reflects off the snow, it kills. I'm like, okay, I'd much rather. Where are the clouds at?
Yeah.
gotcha. I mean, because I've heard the terminology like snowblind before. Yeah, and I was figuring that's what it would do, like with the reflection. But I was curious there, and that's one of those questions just pops up while somebody's giving an answer or an explanation of something that we've asked. Because, like I said, I don't have my notes because y'all's wanted to be uh, I can't say that word, or I won't say that word.
You're
Um,
good, dude.
but so with you having been visually impaired, and if I do say blind during the podcast, that's
What?
my
Yeah, it's fine.
that's fine, Mitch. I don't care if you get upset or not. I mean, I'll just kill your character Tuesday night. Uh, um, how was it for you in school? Like, how did you handle that, and how did they handle that for you?
Oh well, that's actually very interesting because my My parents both wanted me to have a regular education. They did not want any like special treatments or anything like that. They wanted me to have the typical public education. And the Illinois School for the Blind wanted me to go there. They're like, he'll get independent, he'll learn all these skills. And they're like, but he's 4. Like,
Well, yeah,
and
you should have been cooking that day before. Yep, definitely.
my parents are like, he is 4 and loves being at home. Why would we send him away? So they fought to keep me there at the public school, which honestly I feel like was kind of like at least definitely a good decision on my part, because it was more of they still wanted to be, nurturing and whatnot. They never wanted me to feel down or to feel like I was on the outside. Like I to this day, my brother still says a lot of blind jokes, and I mean I laugh obviously because it's funny, but it's more of this is, they treat me as normal as anyone else. Just because I'm blind doesn't mean they don't joke around or do anything like that. I love it.
And that's the way it should be. That again, we're not any different. Maybe that should be our tagline too. We're not any different.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. And you got, I think that's really good as well. Like you said there, Mitch, right? You've got to be able to laugh about it. And if if you're stuck in the mud, then life is just harder for you. And I'm always the first to crack a joke. Like my wife would say, "Oh, did you look at that?" I go, "Nope." Like, oh yeah. I was like, I'll just make terrible jokes all the time. And if you just embrace it, then I think you have an easier time of it. Like, especially at school, you know what I mean? Like, anyone who says, "Oh, the school was the best years of my life," you know what? Maybe that's true, but I think that they're some of the worst for a lot of people. So I think, especially just normalize it. You know what I mean? Like, just embrace it. And yeah, I had a very similar situation to yourself. Like normal school, my parents they were offered as well, but my school was for mixed disabilities that they were trying to push me to. And my dad's like, he's blind, and you want to send him to a school at the age of 5 with a lot of kids who have Down syndrome and autism. It's like he'll never be a normal kid if that's the environment he grows up in.
Oh, and yeah, not only that, I mean, there is. I mean, I had some adversity at times, right? Like kids that make fun of me because I'm blind, but you know, that was kind of came with being blind. It's just, it's whatever. I can't or force anyone to act any differently just because I'm blind.
Well, it comes with the territory. And if like he said, you're stuck in the mud and you're so uptight that you can't get a toothpick up your booty hole, then you're gonna get offended easily.
Oh
So
yeah.
you need to be ready to roll with the stuff. And I think that's a skill that a lot of people lack because of them going to schools like that and being sheltered. I'm not saying all of them, but you got to be ready to roll with the punches and accept things that come your way.
Oh yeah. And then I mean, true, there's like a maturity to it too, because like you tell a 10-year-old kid, "Ha ha, you're blind," it's like okay, I'm gonna get a bit upset, but it's nothing compared to being in a blind school where everyone's blind, and then it's just like okay, I'm not gonna face any of that adversity, but it's like I I feel in a way it's good because then it prepares you for the real world.
Well, it does, and it's kind of like something that happened last night because I mean, I go out with Flint and Shannon a lot, and there's like a little carnival, and this guy kept barking, like the carnival barkers. You know how carnies are. You can't. They're filthy apes. To quote Austin Powers, Um, and he kept yelling like, "Yeah, come bust a balloon, come throw the ring. I know you can do it. I know you can hit it." And I turned my head because Shannon was. I don't know if she was getting upset, but I turned my head and I bet you I can't. Sure you can. Anybody can. I was like, I was like, "You're gonna hand me a sharp or supposedly sharp dart and just let me throw it? No, I don't think so." You know, I mean, granted, I'd be down for it. He's like, yeah, anybody can play. Yeah, but they're not coming at it like anybody can do it. They're just coming at it because they want that money.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but I know T and I are firm believers you can do anything you want to.
Oh, yeah.
And if I don't want to spend the money, you know, to throw in a balloon, I would have. But it'd be a lot cheaper just to go buy a stuffed animal for somebody. Yeah, a lot easier, a lot cheaper.
I've done that before, like in a similar scenario. Where it's like knock over the cups or like that, like big pyramid of cups. It's like you knock them all down, you win a prize. And the guy, he saw me with my wife and long canes, like, oh, go on, big man, you can do it. And I was like, I said to my wife, look, I'm going to show him up now. Went over there and he thought like I was completely blind. And he's like, oh, yeah, I don't know, 3 balls for a quid or something. I'm like, yeah, all right then. Oh. So I purposely threw the first one a little bit dodgy, like just completely against the wall of the thing. He's like, oh, you got this, big man. Second one, direct hit, very hard, all went flying. I was like, there you go. And then I threw the third ball while he's still stunned. I threw it, and like, all the things were gone, but it hit the wall behind exactly the same place. And he's just like, "How'd you do that?" And it's like, dude, I have some sight, and I was like, I was a county cricket player for the blind for like 8 years. Don't challenge me to throw a ball in a very specific place because you're not going to win that fight. I will hit the target every single time after nearly a decade of cricket.
We have blind superpowers.
Yeah.
But yeah, according to a lot of sighted people, we have hidden powers.
I, you know, and that brings up a good question. I know for me, since I had the damage to the left side, you know, I don't have a working eardrum over there. Have y'all, either one of y'all, found out like that your other senses have picked up, like your sense of smell, your sense of taste, sense of sound?
At times I feel like our from what I've learned at least, our brains wire themselves to where they focus on other stuff. Like so my brain knows like one of my eyes don't work at all. So it wires itself then to use either hearing or taste or smell to compensate.
Gotcha. That explains why I don't, because my brain doesn't work. So, uh, what about you, T? Have you noticed your other senses picking up the slack?
I wouldn't say they're any better than the average person. Like, I would say that we're just better at using them. So, like, if you're out and about, like, we're constantly listening for things, right? Because that's the main thing that, if you haven't got sight, you go to hearing straight away to try to bridge that gap. And then, like, I'll hear a car, like, well before anyone else I'm with. And they're just like, oh, how did you hear that? Like, you've got superhuman hearing. It's like, no, because I'm specifically listening for cars, because if I don't, I'll get hit by one when I'm on my own. It's like I have to be so in tuned to that noise that I'm always sort of keeping an ear out for that. So I think we use them in different ways. I don't think it's necessarily better. I mean, it depends on the person, I guess. But I think we use them in such unique ways. Yeah.
You saying that, and this scene from probably one of the best movies, in my opinion, Robin Hood Men in Tights, where the arrow gets shot and the blind guy catches it, and I think it's Dave Chappelle says like, "How did you do that?" And he goes, "I had it coming from a mile away."
Yeah.
But I think we pay attention more, you know, and again, like you said, T, it depends on the person. Um,
Yeah.
but Mitch, you also play sports, right?
Yes, I do.
Tell us what sports you play, and tell us about it.
So I mean, I could start from back in high school. I wrestled a lot. I was on the wrestling team and stuff.
Well, what was your finishing move? The pile driver?
No, I wish. No, it was the cradle.
Ah, I know it.
Yeah, the cradle was my favorite.
So tell us about that experience. Do you think you had an advantage, or do you think it was a disadvantage?
No, it definitely was a disadvantage. Because a lot of kids wouldn't understand the rules, and me being a testosterone, like just uh having, I guess, a bit more anger than some other kids, it kind of got frustrating. So like they'd break away, right? You're supposed to stay constant contact at all times, but they'd break away, or like they wouldn't make full contact, so I wouldn't know who they were. I was just like,
Okay,
okay, this is, it got a bit frustrating. So
because see, I can see that part being a disadvantage, but if they were to keep contact, I seems to me like somebody who's blind would have a bit more advantage because you could go in for the feel and know where to squeeze or to twist or something like that. But I never wrestled. I mean, we wrestled like in the yard and stuff like that, but that wasn't like official or technical. It was whoever could get into a headlock and make the other kid say, "I quit, I quit, I quit."
oh yeah.
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 I mean, we'd jump off the porch with elbow drops. My favorite move was like the body splash. They hated it because I was a fat kid. And they knew it would hurt whenever I landed. I mean, we did all kinds of stuff like that. But it just I don't know. That's just amazing to me that you did wrestle. Did you enjoy it, or was it more
I
frustrating?
definitely I definitely enjoyed it more when I went to the school for the blind, because it seemed like, when I went there, they a lot of this was already established. I know I'm facing a blind kid, so like it really kind of it fit better, I think. Um, but in high school, I still had fun. Um, there definitely was just times where I definitely either one embarrassed myself or embarrassed my team.
Well, I mean that happens with everybody. I think you're gonna have that embarrassing moment. But what I admire is the fact that I would say that's a sighted sport, and you showed that blind people can do it.
Yeah.
You know,
There definitely are some blind wrestlers, I would say, definitely, that were better than me. But what I always say is, like, you're always gonna find someone better than you at something that you think you're good at, right? Like you're never gonna be perfect.
yeah. I mean that comes with life. Wouldn't you agree, T?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think unless you're getting sort of like, I mean, we can look at sports people, we can look at athletes, all that sort of thing. There are very much like people who are the best of the best, but like it's one per like generation. Like you look like a Michael Jordan, like during that time period, Michael Jordan was the best, and no matter how good anyone else was around him, it's like, no, like you're good, but you still have that one person. And I think,
Hmm.
yeah, I completely agree with you, Mitch. Like, there's always someone who's going to be better than you, and I think you've just got to enjoy it, like enjoy it for what it is. And I was a terrible cricket player, like, but I just put in the work. I was acceptable by the end, but there's so many better players than me, but I didn't do it to be the best. Like it was just a bit of fun, you want
Yeah.
to do something fun and enjoyable, and then when it's not enjoyable, then you walk away, and that's what I did. But you're right.
Um, and Mitch, do you still play what's it called, goal ball?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've taken a few years off, but I probably will go back to it at least for one more year. And then I'll
Your
probably stop.
retirement year,
Yeah, only
do
because
the circuit.
no, I mean, I do find that because I did have a hernia 2 years ago, that like my stomach and body just hasn't been the same since. So I'm probably gonna stop after that, because like it's almost kind of too risky.
It's a hard sport. People don't think golf ball's a hard sport. I played a little bit of it myself, and it hurts. Like the
Oh
whole
yeah,
padding on that floor, and that ball goes quick. That is a painful sport.
yeah,
Is it? Because I've never watched a game of it because there's nothing around here that does it. So, what's it like? Because I'm learning as we record this podcast.
Oh man, so the ball is like a football with bells in it. So a hard rubber football, but it's shaped as like a bowling ball. So you're basically and depending on how tall and how strong the person is across from you, they could whip that ball or bowl it metaphorically down the court, and it hurts. One time I got hit in the leg by this guy who's like I think he's 6'7", 300 pounds, all muscle, and he hit me so hard in the leg because you have to dive out on the ground on your side to defend it, and he hit me in the leg so hard to where my leg went numb. I couldn't stand.
Sucks.
Yeah.
He was on steroids.
I was like, okay, time out. Because I could not stand to throw or to even pass it. I'm like, my leg, I can't feel it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's such a shock, like especially when like you start trying out, like when you play it when you first start. What I found is like, oh, this is fun, and then you go to a tournament and it gets serious, and it's like, no, I'm going to throw this at 60 miles an hour. It's a very heavy ball. It's like a kilo of rubber. I'm going to throw it at 60 mile an hour at you. You don't know if it's going to hit you in the face or the chest, and it's like you get one of those to the chops, and you're just like, okay, maybe this isn't for me, when you're spitting out your teeth.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't wear like protective head equipment?
Oh, no, not really. You mainly wear goggles and that, like, to keep you from seeing the ball because they're blacked out with tape, and usually sometimes the inside is just, a black kind of ski mask.
Oh, that's when you need to be meeting after the game. Like, dude, that's a little too hard. Let me hit you with something. Steel chair to the face. Low blow with the steel hammer or something. I'm sorry. I mean, and that's really interesting though, because like I said, I've never played it, never watched it. I've been interested in like the beat baseball until I looked into it and they said, yeah, you got to run really fast. Nope, I'm out.
Oh, so they had tryouts for beat baseball near my house. And I'm like, yeah, I'll try it out. It was 95, 96 degrees out. I'm like, I can't even, I'm standing still and I'm sweating. Like this, and then the guy hits a line drive, and thank God I'm wearing a cup because it hit me right in the cup.
No.
It's like,
In the bummy daddy button.
yes. I was like, oh my God.
Man, you let me quote Austin Powers a bunch. I love it. You never kick a man in the mommy and daddy button.
There. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. Like, I was sunburned and everything. Because I have that Irish skin. Okay, I don't tan ever.
Oh, you just burn.
Yeah, always.
That's when I'll be meeting that dude after the game too. Let me show you how it feels. Take your cup off. Yes.
I think people forget that though, when especially with like baseball and like even with cricket, like even if it's on the same team as you, like the danger comes from when you're fielding, and like you don't know when the ball's coming to you, and that's where the damage is done. Like batsmen in cricket, like you wear your helmet because like you can get hit in the head and stuff like that. But I once got hit in the eye by the best cricketer, like England cricketer, that's been around for like, he's still playing now for over a decade. He's been the best, and he walloped it. And then before I knew it, I was on the ground, like fractured orbital bone when he hit me in the eye, and just like, ow, that really hurt. And like, I was on the same team as him.
Oh my gosh. It sounds bad. I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's the name of the game, isn't it?
Oh man, y'all are quote unquote opening my eyes, to the different sports. I know sports are dangerous, but Like, dang, I don't want to get hit in the junk and then like hobble off the field or be crying like a beaten baby or something. Um, so me, it's like, have you played any other sports?
No, just those. Well, yeah, those three. That's really it. I haven't done really any kind of any other sports. Although I did go to a sports camp where it was called WABA, which is the Wisconsin Association of Blind Athletes. They held a camp that I went to. Man, I want to say ever since I was like 6 years old, 6 or 7, and I went there till I was 18. Like almost every year, going there to try out different sports and stuff. That's what got me into wrestling.
Now that's pretty cool because I hadn't heard of anything like that either. Then I live in a shelter community.
They stopped it though because the guy, the leader of it, was having kids or and all that, and then everyone kind of grew up.
Yeah.
So
So you've gone to school and told us about that. And I know you work. Um, how do you find like the whole employment process? Because it's like I've talked about me in a small town, it's very difficult. And T lives in Paris, France, so I mean it's really easy for him, to find better employment as a blind person. Still difficult, and that's what we're gonna start doing too. You're gonna be from a different place every episode, I think.
Yeah. Good. I mean, yeah. Or the
Uh,
baguette employment opportunities I have.
yeah, yes, exactly. But me you living out like in the Midwest, and it'll be up to you if you want to give like the location. But how have you found like employment where you live or employment opportunities?
well, employment opportunities, especially where I live, it's almost non-existent. Like the nearest office building I've seen, like to even get to where that could be a job for me, is an hour away. And even Indeed or the site I apply to, like mainly they say, "Are you sure you want to apply for this position? You are an hour away. Getting transportation might be difficult." And
Really?
yeah, yeah, and the buildings are like either amidst other office buildings, but it's always either in the city or somewhere where there is no public transportation to get to.
And CT, that's what we were just talking about.
Yeah, and that's I think the big difference with where I am. Like the public transport is really good. We've got really good infrastructure, but the opportunities are still very hard to come by. And
Yeah,
it's interesting to hear.
and a lot of it, some of it is though kind of just exposure. There's not a lot of exposure for people who are blind and yet want to work. Like they say 75% of blind people are unemployed. And I mean, yes, I would still say that's kind of true. But
See, I was thinking probably more than that.
I would say like out of the 75%, at least 60% of blind people want to work.
Oh yeah.
And there's I give that 15% of like, okay, I have not worked a job. Like I am either one, nervous to, right? This is the 15%, either nervous to, or they don't know. Like, okay, how does all this even work? Right? Because the first time I had applied for health insurance, I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. Right? Like I need advisement. Like
You like need guidance in it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, what plan's good for me since I'm blind? Okay, what do I need then? Like what's out there? Right.
You don't need eyeglass prescriptions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so even where you're from, you still find difficulties.
Oh yeah.
It's like T and I were just talking about. We think a lot of it is lazy as well. Like, they basically have everything handed to them. So
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's included in the 15%.
yeah,
Right? Like
and what Mitch said, I hadn't thought about like 1% that just don't know, like they've always, been taken care of. How many of those like want to work but just, get nervous about it? I'm trying to say here too, you're smarter than I am.
I think when it comes down to it depends very much on your upbringing. If you're raised to never have any expectations for you, it can be really hard to change that attitude. And changing mental habits is so difficult. Just look at people who have substance abuse issues, that sort of thing. Like it's so hard to change how your brain works and how it's wired. And if you've gone 18, 20 years of being told you are incapable of doing something, and then you go out into the big wide world, how do you undo that 18, 20 odd years of someone saying you can't do something? Like someone's coming from out of the void, like myself, on a podcast saying you can do it, get to work. That ain't going to change anything. Like that isn't going to have any influence on them. And I think that's the problem. And employers don't make it easy. Let's face it, they really don't. They can be horrible and cruel, and
Yeah.
make it very clear they don't want you.
Oh yeah, I've had experiences with that.
And I think a lot of it too comes to, and from the employer side, the unknown. Like,
Mm.
can they do it? Are they going to get hurt? Is it going to cost me more on insurance? And honestly, y'all, I get that aspect. I understand that. But, until you give someone a chance, sighted or unsighted, you don't know. And until, you as a blind person try something, you don't know whether you can do it or not. Have I screwed up a lot in doing some things? Oh, yeah. Have I learned from it? Each and every time. Well, most each and every time, because I still cut my thumb whenever I'm cutting vegetables, but that's just my preference in the way that I cut them, you know. But I think a lot of it is unknown from both sides of the fence.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially with an employer, like they have to take that leap of faith. And when you consider that a lot of employers, especially if you're looking at smaller companies or privately owned
Yeah.
businesses, one of their biggest outgoings is their staffing costs. And if you're only hiring 3 people, but that's like say a third of all of the costs that you have, are you going to take a risk on an unknown, or are you going to get the person who might not be as good on paper, but they don't have any sort of visual impairment? It's harsh to say, but if I was an employer, maybe I would make that choice. Like, I don't know. Like, I've never been in that situation, and I can't blame employers for that, but it isn't right. It isn't right. And opportunities should be given, but we can't blame people for not wanting to take that chance if it's costing them tens of thousands and it might not work out.
Right. And then they got to go through the process again. I mean,
Mm.
I understand where they're coming from, but one of the reasons behind this podcast and the reason is that you have to take a chance sometime because that blind person, that person in the wheelchair or whatever could be the best employee you ever hire.
Oh yes, I can attest to that. That's a definite. At least I heard from someone from HR who worked at this company called Vision Corps, and she says I find that blind workers are the most hardest and most grateful workers I've ever hired.
Mm.
Full stop.
Yeah.
I love how you put that in there. Full stop. You know.
Yeah.
um. So Midge, we've talked a little bit about your working, and your job. And I'm not asking you to describe your job or tell us what it is, but how do you find working as a blind individual?
Oh, I love it. I love working. I know some people complain about how I'm going to work till I'm 60 or 80, right? Like, but for me, I don't know. I love working. It gives me kind of, not really necessarily a purpose, but more of just like gratitude. Like I'm taking in money, and it's not from some government kind of handout. It's I'm actually making it.
Right, and that's a big difference in the whole mental game, T, like you and I have talked about before, the whole mentality of stuff and how you feel about yourself.
Yeah, it comes down to like self-worth, doesn't it? Like I I'm trying to think of the old adage, but like money earned is better than money given, or something like that. And it just gives you a value just beyond that financial side of things, because you just get fulfillment from it. You've done something that people appreciate enough to give you money for, and I think that's usually better than just, don't get me wrong, the money's great. Yeah, I'm not gonna say no to money, but
Re-
it is good to have that fulfillment, especially like when you finish like a really tough job and it's like, okay, really done something there, and maybe proven a few people wrong, change some perceptions along the way. And I think that's the importance of getting visually impaired and blind people into work. Let's change perceptions, and I think that's what's ultimately going to change attitudes down the line.
Exactly. You feel more fulfilled. You feel like your life has purpose or has achieved something beyond just monetary value. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to sound smarter than what I am, Teach. Um, T, do you have any questions for Mitch? I mean, we're not nearly through here, but I don't want to give you a chance to say something, mostly because I'm going to take something to drink.
No, good. So Mitch, like, without going into like where you specifically live, we don't want to dox you and all of that. Like, that ain't cool. But like, are you in sort of like quite a built up area? Like, because I'm just thinking about the comparisons, like Barbara from a small community, quite rural, like from like the southern states.
Oh
Uh,
no, I'm definitely from the Midwest, but my community is way more of like I have restaurants, right, and bars around me, but there obviously is no office building, right, where I can go and actually get a job and work. Like if there are, they're not advertising. Because I'm not seeing anything on like Indeed or any of like the usual typical job apps or like, oh hey, we're hiring right here. It's like, hey, no, they're all kind of hours away. Like, or I mean,
Yeah.
there is restaurants. I could go back into the dish room because I did work at a dish room before, but
Yeah.
it's way more of okay, do I really I have a degree, like do I really want to go back to that? Like,
Yeah.
because I've worked at a office position for about 5 years. It's kind of like I
Yeah.
kind of like the whole either one working from home, which has really kind of given me a great outlet working from home
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's more of it's my space, I can work and be who I want to be, not put on a face, technically speaking, and act a certain way. It's like, no, this is me, right? I'm home.
Yeah.
This is my home. It is the way that I do things and I get work done. Don't think I don't, because I do.
Yeah.
I I really like my job because now I feel like I'm kind of like the trainer, and I train two other blind individuals, and
Yeah.
it feels very rewarding.
That's cool, man.
Now, let me ask you this. This is something that we've talked about. Um, if you didn't have your job now and there was a dishwashing opportunity, would you go back to dishwashing?
Oh, I would I mean a job's a job. So
CT, we talked about that, didn't we? There's a lot of people who wouldn't because oh, T, how did you say it? It's been 2 weeks since we recorded that previous episode.
No, it's some people. I think what we spoke about, and I'm not sure if you agree with this, Mitch, but they get in their own head about what they want to do, and they won't compromise on that. And especially like if you've got qualifications and experience, like you need to be adaptable. Like when I graduated, there were no jobs. Like it was the recession had just hit in 2011 when I graduated university, and my career went up in flames because no one was hiring in that field. No one. And I was like, okay, I can either sit here and be like, oh, I'm going to sit here on the government benefit until those jobs come up, or oh, there's a job over there. It's not anything I ever thought I would do, but I'm going to give it a go. And I did that for a few years, then moved on and stuff like that. So I just wonder what your thoughts are on that. Do you think people need to be adaptable when they are looking for stuff?
Oh, you have to. You have to be adaptable, because if you're not, then you're not gonna find a job anywhere. Like if I didn't have a job, but there's a dishwashing, a restaurant hiring. I mean, yes, not for money that I'd like, but it's money and it's work and it's something that I could, be proud of. So, because it's more of the pride aspect of, hey, I'm working, right? Like, I have a job. This is what I'm doing, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability because, that's the way I was raised. No matter what you do, if you do dishes and, sorry, I don't know what is going on outside. Someone's lighting fireworks.
It's technology or lighting fireworks.
I think so. Yeah. And I don't know why.
It ain't my birthday.
You crazy Yanks and your fireworks.
Dude, no. Hey, that's an American treasure.
Yeah, that's why we left you. We didn't even fight to keep America. We was just like, nah, you're a bunch of nut jobs. Fireworks. Yeah,
See, down here, it's our stills blowing up. Well, it's probably turned into meth labs blowing up now. But Mitch, I like that you said that about it's money earned. It's how you were raised, and it goes back to I think I'm not saying that every parent or parents that have blind children or disabled children in general baby them or shelter them, but I I think that maybe if they were raised a bit different, like, hey, you can do this. You can tackle anything that you come across. Like for me, if I come across a child who is blind and or in a wheelchair or anything like that, I'm always trying to encourage them to say, hey, look, no matter what life has thrown you, you can do whatever it is that you want to do. Yeah, and I think that's extremely important to get into the young generation that the sky is still the limit for you, no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, obviously within realistic expectations is all I would
Well,
add to that. Like,
I mean,
if
I'm
you're
not
blind, you're
expecting
not
them
going to
to
be,
be
you're not going to be a truck
taxi
who
driver.
drives.
Right. Well, T has driven before, haven't you, T?
I've given it a go. I know how to drive, but I wouldn't get behind the wheel in any sport. Right? Yeah.
I can promise you I wouldn't ride with you. But I mean, it's important to know, like you said, Mitch, within reason, anything is obtainable. I mean, I don't know that I would try to be an astronaut, but hey, that's what somebody wants to do. Go right ahead. He mentioned, a surgeon. I don't think I'd want my doctor to be blind, but anything within reason, like president of a company or you I, I from whatever I mean, if you want to be president of the United States or a senator or anything like that, if you want to do it, go for
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, especially in politics, we need more disabled people in politics, especially in the UK, but I think it's worldwide because unfortunately, all these policies and stuff that affect like disabled people all over the world are being made by people with no lived experience or understanding or of anything. So I always say I do some talks here and there, and I always say to disabled people, look, if you want a career, go into politics. And some people are like, oh, politics. And it's like, yeah, but if you want to make real change for your community and make things better, if that's what you're passionate about, you need to be in the policy making seat. But yeah, you have to be.
it.
Like, I
Right.
think in the UK, we haven't had a single disabled person as like the Minister for Disabilities. And that's been for like 200 years. I don't think we've ever had a disabled person in that role.
And that has to change. Yeah, that has to change. I really don't like when someone's in charge of, like, is at the place I used to work at, was like, oh, we support blind people, but there's no blind person in any position of power.
Yeah.
They're all the worker drones, or like, they work. Oh, he makes clocks. It's like, okay, like, like I understand manual labor. That sounds great and all, but like, come on. A blind person can do something more than just making clocks, or just, I mean, administrative work is always good, but like, there's a blind person could be in a position of power. A blind person could lead a whole team of people.
Yeah. Absolutely. I've done that in the past, and maybe we'll talk about that in another episode about being a blind manager and what comes with that, because that comes with all sorts of craziness that you then expect it to. And it's like, oh, I didn't expect this to be a nice side dish to this job.
Right. And that's the point of these is I want people to watch these. I want these to be shared because people will see that like, oh, I didn't know a blind person could do that. You know, because I've been asked like some, I won't say odd questions. I mean, they're odd to me because I guess I take them for granted. Because it's just what I do. Like, well, do you cook? How do you cook? Why not go be a chef? You know, you just have to make modifications to things, and I want people to realize, like in the what are they called on Facebook, reels or shorts or something like that. That if they come across that, like, oh, a blind person can cook, yeah, a blind person can be a physical trainer, yeah, you know, a blind person could be a government official, yeah. I mean, nobody would vote for me because I don't think I'd give very good speeches because I'm very blunt and they tend to crucify people like that. But I speak my mind at the same time, and what you see is what you get. I don't know what that says though for us who are blind. Like I don't see nothing, so they don't get nothing. I mean, I'm kind of lost on that one now that I think about it. But um, I do have a couple more questions for you,
Oh, yeah.
Vincent. And T, if you have any questions, let me know. Step in and and ask. Mitch, what do you like to do for fun?
Oh, for fun, I obviously, I'm a huge D&D player. I love playing D&D. I love DMing, which is, the DM master. Um, it's that's what I find really fun because I actually do like making like a lot of the voices and things like that. Like I really like getting into the characters. Um, I do that. I do play video games. I have at least a little bit of vision for that. Be it adaptive, right? Like I'm like, I been here before? Oh, I have been here before, right? Okay, let's move on. Or okay, wait, what is this? I haven't seen this before. Oh, okay, cool. I got it. Like seeing AI has really improved like the gaming experience for me because back then, I mean, I could tell I picked up a book, right? But I can't read it. But seeing AI can't. So like I take out my phone, put it to the screen, it reads the book.
Now, see, I had not thought about using CAI to do that. Huh? That's a good what's the adaptation or so,
So I'm gonna have to
something
look it up.
smarter.
Yeah. So it really has changed it. So now now when I pick a book or something, like, oh, I can actually get this rested. Like this actually, it has some sort of value, which has got me into creating a video game for the blind with me and my brother. We're developing a completely text-based video game, that'll mostly have all the kind of the bells and whistles where a blind person can play it.
Sweet.
Sounds really interesting.
Text-based adventure games are awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it's like it's your single player adventure is what I like. I'm kind of really, it's a single player RPG.
Nice.
sweet.
So it's gonna be really it'll be, not that it's probably the first of its kind, but like for the blind, it's kind of like we don't have the single player kind of like, game where you can just sit down and play yourself. Right? Like,
Right.
I mean, community games are fun. Don't get me wrong. It's great to sit down and chat with other blind people, but when you want to just be by yourself, there's not many games that do that. So
This is very true. Very true. I mean, I've been hooked on War Shovel since early mid December.
I still have to pick that up. I'm going to pick it up. I promise you.
I love my character's name. It's McRib Bone, and his companion, I'm calling his brother, is T Bone. Yes.
Nice.
But T, do you have any other questions for Mitch?
I mean, I know we're running low on time, but I think, Mitch, if you're happy to come back and share stuff about that, about what you're doing with the game as well, because that's something really I love my gaming sort of thing. Can't do it as much as I used to, but I'd love to hear more about that, like in another episode potentially down the line, because it's
Oh, definitely. I'm definitely up to it. I could do that, no problem. I've been doing a lot of stuff with that, and I'm always willing to share. And this has been a very kind of coding experience for my brother too, because that's all he does is code in Java. And yeah, he uses Java and Eclipse, and I'm like, well, darn, it seems accessible, but it's not reading it right. And then he just downloaded there's like a new AI program. It's not Open AI. It's called like Grok or something.
yeah.
And he
Don't
found
call
that
name.
he found that it actually helped him solve a piece of like some other parts of the code that wasn't working. That he finally got it to work, and it's like, well, it's reading some messages now, and I'm like, oh, that's great. Like, so we're making huge strides at that.
Excellent. But Mitch, you got a quick funny story, and then we'll close out the podcast. Like a quick funny story from a blind perspective, like something that happened to you.
Yeah. Oh, yes. So we're at me and my family, or me and my brother and my dad. We're at a restaurant for my birthday, and my dad's like, "Oh, come on, Mitch, have a drink with us." I'm like, "Yeah, all right, I'll have a drink with you." So I had a few drinks, and then the waitress comes by, and she's like, "Man, you guys are drinking a lot tonight." I'm like, "Yeah, I just want to get blind drunk." And the waitress looked at me. She said, "Did you really just say that?" I'm like, yes, I did." I was like, "Can I have another one, please?"
I love it. I love it. But
I did want to mention one thing is that a lot of people don't realize that being blind is, I mean, anyone could be blind. Anyone could at one point wake up and either one, lose some vision, or two, like because my mom had me early because she was stressed. Her uncle was murdered, and it was well, she said it was stressed, and then she was just too small, right? So it's kind of like hard to contain, the baby when you're like, it was too much for her. So I came early. And it's like stuff like that happens not as often, but it happens enough where anyone could be blind or be in a wheelchair. It's kind of like you got to really appreciate what, either one, what you have, or be more mindful because, you could be in the same situation.
yeah, don't take what you have, no matter what it is, for granted.
Exactly.
But Mitch, I definitely want to thank you for joining. I'm sure T would, like to thank you as well. For telling us your story. Go ahead, T.
Yeah, it's been great to meet you, man. Like lots of, like, we've only touched the surface there, but we only have so much time, unfortunately. But those are like a really great perspective of you there, and I think especially that last sentiment was great. And anyone who's listening, like, unfortunately with sight loss, with a lot of people, it's if, like it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you will lose your sight. Like it is a timeline, and yeah, you might be lucky, and it happens in your late 80s, but a lot of people will go through sight loss. So just be nice to people, man. Come on.
Yeah. And with that, we'll end, and I'll say thank you for watching, listening. Remember to rate, share, review, subscribe, send food, send money. If we get 100 YouTube subscribers, you will see me doing the one chip challenge. I'll try to talk T into doing it too, but I'm not sure that I can do that.
We'll negotiate. We'll have a negotiation.
But thank y'all for watching. Thank you for listening, and I want to thank my co-host here, and Mitch. I want to thank you for joining us, and we'll definitely have you back on. Y'all be
Thank you so much.
Y'all be good, and remember, be nice to somebody. It doesn't cost anything.